Welcome everybody to yoga. Thanks for being here with us. I hope that you had a lovely day at the RC yesterday, and hopefully today will be just as inspiring, if not more so, depending on what you're diving into. So we've got the rest of the week ahead of us. It's always this point for me in the week is, we're still kind of revving up, and there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of time for connection and networking, and hopefully you're taking advantage of that. So thanks again for being here, everybody. We are going to go ahead and find ourselves in a comfortable seat. So just as I mentioned yesterday, if you were with us, if seated upright in this position is not comfortable for your body, feel free to lay flat. But we will start with a little bit of a mindfulness practice here this morning. If you haven't already, take this moment to quiet the distractions that may be available to you. If you enjoy having music on in the background and you're not used to having a home practice, there are a lot of really wonderful free options. So that's something that I get questioned about a lot. And feel free to just shoot me an email and I can send you some links for some things that are easy to have on in your home practice. And we'll allow our awareness and our breath to drop down into our body. So often our awareness is somewhere out, somewhere above, below, around. So let's let that come in. Maybe even placing one hand on belly, one hand on chest to give us a little bit more information here, a little bit more of a cue of where we want our attention to focus. Maybe even feeling the breath underneath the hands. Noticing a gentle rise and fall. And we'll spend these first couple of moments just becoming curious about where the breath is, where it's moving, where it's going. And as our mind quiets and focuses on the gentle movement of the breath, maybe we can slowly open that aperture of attention and see what the body's doing. See what the shoulders are doing, the hips, the knees. Continuing to allow the awareness to stay on and in the body. But just a little wider gaze. And we'll take one more long, deep breath together. And with the exhale, letting go of all of our expectations, letting go of the day ahead, giving ourselves permission to sit comfortably here on our cushion or on our mat, being in this moment. And with our next inhale, slowly starting to rotate the hips. We want to let this movement start really slow as we roll from one sits bone to the pubic bone, to the other sits bone, and to the sacrum. Feeling those 4 points of contact at the bottom of the pelvic bowl. And allowing the movement to slowly, naturally, organically move up the body. Maybe incorporating the belly, the heart, the shoulders. Maybe even letting the head start to roll with the body. From here, we're going to change directions. Again, letting this be really organic, maybe letting the movement rock from side to side. Opening through belly, opening through heart, and then slowly let's allow ourselves to come back to center. And with our next inhale, our arms are going to extend out to the side like a T, palms facing forward. Letting the heart rise ever so slightly to the sky. From here, we'll turn our palms to the heavens, lifting through the heart and letting the gaze rise up to about where the wall and the ceiling ahead of us meet. And on our next exhale, we're going to rotate the palms to the earth, let the chin tuck towards the chest and the gaze drop to our belly. And maybe even the palms want to turn even further so they're facing directly behind us, feeling that movement way up in the shoulders. We're going to move with our breath. So on the inhale, we're going to rotate the palms so they face forward. And then as the chest rises, the palms reach for the sky. On the exhale, we're going to rotate the palms to face the earth. And as the chin tucks, the palms rotate behind. Inhale, open through shoulders, through heart, lift the chin. Exhale, belly button towards spine, tuck the chin, rotate those palms to face behind. We'll do one more here. Inhale, lift. Feeling that movement in the shoulders, really opening through that rotator cuff. And on our exhale, rotate and tuck the chin. And slowly come back to center. Let's let those hands float down by our sides and give ourselves a couple of big shoulder rolls. Nice and gentle. And we'll change directions. And slowly come back to center. Let's go ahead and slide off of our cushion. If we are seated up on one, go ahead and set that to the side. We're going to bring our feet out nice and wide. Toes are reaching towards the sky, heels reaching towards the corners of the mat. Placing our hands directly down in front with our inhale, we're going to lift and lengthen through the spine. Feel the sits bones ground into the earth, engage the belly. Lift up nice and tall, up and out the center of the head. Reach those toes. One more breath, really activating the hamstrings, activating those inner thighs. And with our exhale, we're going to bend into the elbows and lean slightly to one direction. So we're going to bend in and lean to the side, slowly come through center, and then leaning into the opposite side. And we come back to our upright position. And we'll change direction. So we're going to take this each direction a couple of times. Bending into those elbows as we rotate through midline, coming all the way back through center, strong in the belly, and then opposite direction. You can take these as fast or as slow as you want this morning, just being mindful that the faster we go, the more easy it is to kind of blow through our edge. So maybe taking it just a little bit slower so that we're mindful of how the body's opening this morning, this afternoon. One more rotation here. And coming back through center. And go ahead and help the legs come together by grabbing behind the knees. And then we're going to bring our feet together for Baddha Konasana. Let those heels come in nice and close to the pelvis to start. We're going to wrap our fingers around our toes, and with our inhale, lift through the heart and let those knees drop to the earth. Soften those hip flexors, soften the inner thighs. And again, feel that long line lifting up the spine and out the center of the head. From here, with our next exhale, we're going to tuck our chin towards our chest, lengthening across the back line of the body. Feeling those long muscles from the base of the skull down the back all the way to the sacrum. And with our inhale, we'll slowly return to center. Our exhale will allow those feet to come a little further away from the body. So we want to find a nice big diamond shape in our lap here. Our right hand is going to come underneath the right ankle. Right elbow is going to make its trajectory down towards the earth. It doesn't have to touch. That's just the direction that we're going. And then the left arm is going to reach for the sky. Opening up into our first twist this morning, really reaching through those fingers, opening through the side body. One more long breath here. And with our exhale, slowly unwind, coming back to center. Left hand will come under left ankle, elbow comes towards the earth, right arms are reaching for the sky. Reach through those right fingers. Again, left elbow is reaching for the earth. And with our exhale, slowly coming all the way back through center. Let's bring our knees together and extend the feet directly out in front. Arms reach up to the heavens, come to the front sides of those sits bones, and we'll make our way into our forward fold. Throwing the fingers way out over the toes, belly button comes down first, and then chest, chin, and finally our gaze will drop to our knees. Continue rolling the sits bones out behind. Letting those knees bend if that feels most right for you. And we'll breathe here. Allow your body to rise and fall with the breath. So as that breath comes down into the belly, the body might naturally rise just ever so slightly. And then on the exhale, maybe the body settles just a little bit deeper. And we'll take a couple more breaths here. If you notice those hamstrings are pulling on your sits bones, go ahead and slightly bend the knees and continue rolling the sits bones out behind you. And we'll take one more breath here. And with our next inhale, slowly press up, making our way back to center. We're going to take just a moment to come onto hands and knees. Go ahead and rotate on your mat. We're going to let our knees come directly below our shoulder or our hips. Palms come directly below our shoulders. Engage that belly nice and long through the spine. We're going to start with just a gentle wag of the tail. So shifting those hips from left and right, getting a little bit of movement into the hip joint, into that pelvic bowl. We'll do one more each direction. And as we make our way back to center, we'll bring our big toes together and bring our knees out nice and wide. We're going to shift our weight back towards our heels, finding a nice wide angle child's pose, forehead to the earth. Keep this pose nice and active. Really reach those hips towards the heels, reach the fingers to the top of the mat. With a gentle pressure into the mat, we can slightly elevate our armpits by gently rolling the elbows away from the body, creating a lot of space along the upper back. We'll take one more breath here. And with our inhale, we'll rise up just enough to slide the left arm underneath the right armpit. We'll lower down ever so softly onto the outside of that left shoulder. We don't want to collapse into the shoulder here. We're lowering down nice and slow. The right arm can stay extended out overhead. We can bring that hand to press down directly in front of the face. Or if that left shoulder is feeling pretty stable and you don't feel like you're collapsing into the shoulder, you can bring that right arm around the back of the body, maybe reaching for pelvis or for that left hip. So a few different options here. Again, we want to be really mindful on that rotator cuff. Use that right hand for support and balance if that's what your needs are this morning. One more breath. And with our exhale, we'll slowly press up, gently unwinding, bringing that left arm back out. Both arms reach out in front, forehead to the earth. We're going to give our shoulders a break here by letting our hands come around back, by our feet rolling those shoulders in. We're in a wide angle infant pose. Find our breath here. And with our inhale, our arms will float back up front, placing the palms into the earth, rising up just enough to slide the right arm underneath the left shoulder and gently lowering down on the outside of that right shoulder. Again, left hand can be placed wherever feels most right for you. If out front isn't great, try here in front of the face or all the way around behind. And lots of options, lots of modifications to make the pose fit
how your body is expressing itself this morning. And we'll take one more breath here. And with our next inhale, gently start to press up. We'll bring that right arm out from underneath us, reaching the fingers out in front. And we're going to shift our weight forward, coming back up onto all fours. Bring those knees back in so they're directly underneath the hips. We're going to curl our toes under, roll our sits bones to the sky, and gently press back, finding a downward dog. Pedaling out the feet, shifting our weight from left to right. And slowly starting to come into your dog, letting those heels come around the back of the body and down towards the earth. Sits bones roll towards the heavens, attempting to shift the weight so that we're not resting all of our weight in our hands. With our next inhale, the right foot's going to fly to the sky. Point through those right toes, and then gently bend the right knee, letting that right foot dangle over the left side of the body, making our way into a three-legged dog. The right knee attempts to reach up for the heavens as the right toes drape towards the earth. Weight stays evenly distributed between the hands. We'll take one more breath here. And with our inhale, that right foot's going to reach back for the sky and then swing all the way forward up in between the hands. We're going to stay down for a nice low lunge. You're welcome to come onto fingertips, fists, palms if that's there for you, or if you have props in your home space and you want to employ a couple of blocks here, that's a totally great time to do that. Nice and long from the left heel up and out through the center of the head. One more breath here. Inner thighs are reaching towards one another, so we're being mindful not to drop out through the pelvis. And with our exhale, we're going to release the left knee to the earth and release those left toes. Gently start to shift your weight back. We can stay up high here, keeping the hip directly over the knee, or we can sit the hips back on that left heel as the right toes reach for the sky. And then from here, we can either keep our torso nice and high, or we can come forward, letting the gaze drop to the knee. And wherever we are, we'll find our breath. Noticing if you've pushed up against your edge, if there's any way to soften that, maybe back off, maybe bring in the breath. And with our next inhale, we'll begin to shift forward, bringing the right knee directly above that right ankle. We're going to curl the left toes under and again lift through the back of that left knee. Back in our low lunge. One more breath. And then slowly step this right foot back to meet the left. We're going to find plank. You can do that in one sweep or in multiple steps. Engage the belly, nice strong plank here. And with our exhale, we'll find downward dog. Child's pose is always welcome. If downward dog doesn't feel restful, we'll spend just a couple breaths here, so you're welcome to come down to the earth. Maybe pedaling out those feet if you're in your dog, maybe shifting your weight from left to right. This can be really fluid here. We don't need to be stagnant in our poses. And with our next inhale, we're going to kick the left foot to the sky, reach through those left toes, and then gently drape the left foot over the right side of the body. Left knee is reaching for the sky, left toes are reaching for the earth. And with our inhale, the left foot will fly to the heavens, and then bring that all the way through up in between our hands. We're in a low lunge here. Again, those inner thighs are coming towards one another. Again, we can come onto fists or fingertips, blocks if you have them. And we'll take one more breath here. I love these long lines in the body from that right heel all the way up the leg, the spine, out the center of the head. Really encourage these lines to feel their full length. And with our exhale, we'll let the right knee drop to the earth and release those right toes. Start to shift our weight back. Again, we can stay right here with the hips above the knee, letting the gaze look down at the leg. Or we can start to sit back, dropping our weight into that right heel. sitting up nice and tall, or coming forward into the forward fold. Breathing into the hamstrings. Taking our time here as we settle into these postures. Again, let it be fluid and dynamic. And with our next inhale, slowly start to shift forward, bringing the left knee directly above the ankle. We'll curl the right toes under, lifting through the back of the right knee. And then stepping back for plank. Again, this can be in one sweep back or take a couple of steps. Find your plank. Shoulders directly over the wrists. Knees to the earth is always a welcome modification for plank. No matter what position you're in, we're going to keep strong in the belly. Reach from the heels up and out the center of the head. And then find downward dog on the exhale. Rolling the sits bones to the sky, heels to the earth. We're going to take one more breath here. And then gently start to walk the hands back to meet the feet. Finding our first forward fold, interlacing the hands at the elbows, rolling the sits bones to the sky, and then a gentle shake of the head yes and shake of the head no. Letting those elbows reach for the earth, sits bones rolling to the sky. We want to be mindful that we're not locking out the knees, so those knees stay nice and buoyant. With our inhale, placing the hands just below the knees, we'll find a flat back. Engage the belly, reach from tailbone through the center of the head, and on our exhale, we'll fold forward. Nice and slow, let's come to standing, soften the knees, we're gonna roll up. Come on up one vertebrae at a time. Engage the glutes to help us stand up nice and tall, fingertips drape by our sides. Center of the head reaches for the sky, and we find ourselves in our mountain. Tadasana, letting the feet ground into the earth, maybe closing eyes or letting our gaze settle down on the top of the mat ahead of us. One more breath here. And with our inhale, arms rise, reaching through the fingers. Palms come to touch on our exhale as we fold forward. Gently press the palms into one another, creating space along the top of the shoulders. Folding down here, finding our forward fold, letting the fingertips drape towards the earth. With our next inhale, we'll find a half lift. And fold forward. Go ahead and bend those knees so the hands can come to the earth, and we're going to walk forward, finding our downward dog. Attempting to keep the heels on the earth as long as possible. And then as you make your way into your dog, if those heels want to come on up, go ahead and let them. We want the sits bones to reach for the sky so that we've got a nice, strong, straight back. And one more breath here. With our next inhale, our right foot's going to come forward up in between the hands. We're back in our low lunge. We're going to take one long breath here. And on our exhale, go ahead and release the left knee and release the left toes. Left hand's going to ground down into the earth directly below the shoulder as the right arm reaches for the sky. We want to be mindful that that right knee stays in towards our body, so that right knee is not going to flail out to the side. We want to really use those inner thighs. Keep the right knee in. Reach for the sky. One more breath. And with our exhale, slowly unwind. From here, we're going to walk the right foot over to the left side of our mat and then gently lower the right knee to the earth. So we're making our way into our pigeon. You're welcome to slide a bolster or block underneath that right hip if that feels good for you this morning. Maybe even a pillow or a couch cushion. Gently pressing the hands into the earth, we're going to lift through the heart. Again, in our pigeon, we want our heart to reach out in front of us so that we're not crunching through the low back. We want to be mindful that the energy of this forward movement is out towards the top of the mat.
So really opening through heart center, keeping a nice bend in that low back so that we're not crunching it. So we're slightly forward. One more breath here. And with our exhale, we're going to come all the way down, maybe onto elbows, maybe letting the forehead come to the earth, maybe crisscrossing the hands, or even grabbing for a block or a bolster. We're breathing into that right hip. And find your breath here in your pigeon. If you feel like you've crossed your edge, go ahead and back off or grab for an additional bolster. We're going to spend just a couple of breaths here. And as we come into our next inhale, we want to keep in mind that heart opening out in front motion. So as we slowly rise up, really reach that heart out towards the top of the mat as we lengthen through the arms and lift through the center of the head. One more breath up here, nice and tall, soft in the shoulders. And then gently rotate so those toes curl under and we lift slightly through the pelvis. We're going to lift through the back of the knee and then step the right foot back. We're in our plank, knees down is a wonderful modification here, and we'll find our downward dog. Pedaling out the feet here, just noticing if there's any difference between the left and right sides of the body. Give our body a moment to communicate. And with our next inhale, we'll step the left foot forward, placing the foot in between the hands. Inner thighs are coming towards one another. One more breath here. And then gently release the right knee. You can release those right toes. Right hand stays directly below the right shoulder. And as we rotate and lift through this left arm, we want to use the belly to help us twist and keep this left knee tucked in nice and close to the body. Reaching through those left fingers. And with our exhale, slowly unwind. And then gently walk this left foot over to the right side of the mat, lowering the knee down in between the hands. Again, the movement here is forward, opening heart out in front. One more long breath here. Lifting that heart, expanding in all directions. And with our exhale, we'll slowly come forward. Again, maybe it's on elbows, maybe we want to stack our fists, grab for a bolster, or let the forehead make its way to the earth. Breathing into the left hip. We'll take one more deep breath here. And as we slowly press up, lead with the heart, reach that heart out in front, gently straighten through the arms. Take one more long breath here. And then slowly curl the right toes under, lift through that right knee. Take your time stepping the left foot back to meet the right, finding either plank or come on down onto your knees for a tabletop, or just take one more breath here. And with our exhale, downward dog. Rolling the sits bones to the sky, heels to the earth. Our last downward dog this morning, just enjoy it. And slowly release the knees down to the earth and we'll find child's pose. Again, if those shoulders want a little bit of a break, you can bring the hands back by the feet and let the shoulders roll down. We'll take one more breath here.
With our next inhale, we're going to press up into hero. So as we sit up, our sits bones rest in between the heels. Those knees reach out towards the top of the mat. And as we sit up nice and tall, the belly stays strong. Long through the spine. Letting the gaze settle out towards the top of the mat, or maybe even close the eyes. And with our inhale, we'll bring our palms together at heart center. Ever so slightly, as we press those palms into one another, we're gently going to increase the movement so that our fingertips move towards the left. So we're opening up through the underside of that left wrist. So those right fingers just give a little bit more pressure than the left. And so we're breathing into the bottom of that left wrist. And then slowly come through center and gently press those left fingers a little harder than the right. And we're opening through the bottom of the right wrist, releasing that carpal tunnel. And then slowly come back to center. We're going to turn our fingers so they face down and the backs of the hands are pressing into one another. We can stay right here with our elbows extended out to the side. Or if you feel some openness in your wrist, gently let the elbows come a little bit closer towards the earth. So we just slowly start to drop the elbows and now opening through the tops of the wrists. And from here, slowly release. Let's roll the wrists in one direction and roll in the other. And we'll shift forward, coming back onto hands and knees. From here, we're going to keep our knees where they are, bring our elbows down to where our palms were, interlace the fingers, and then slowly step back for a forearm plank. So we bring one foot back and then the other, nice and strong in the belly, shoulders directly over the elbows. We'll take one more breath here. And then gently let the knees come to the earth, release the palms, and slowly come all the way down onto the belly. Forehead or cheek can make its way to the earth. We want to keep the forearms, elbows, and palms pressing down into our mat. And with our next inhale, we're going to come into sphinx. Gently lift through the chest, press those palms and forearms down into the earth. And then peel your belly up and away from the mat. Imagine that there's a little tic-tac underneath your belly that you're trying to rise away from. Point the toes, one more breath here. And on the exhale, slowly lower all the way down onto the mat. And we'll take our time coming over onto our backs. As we make our way to our back, we want to bring the feet in towards the chest. Giving those knees a great big hug. We're going to reach for those feet. If you can't quite reach for the feet, just keep your hands on your knees. And we bring the feet towards the chest. So we're holding on to the pinky toe edge of the feet, or we're holding on to the outside of the knees. Coming into a nice deep hip opener, complementing that pigeon pose, just giving a little bit more opening into those hips as the feet come a little closer towards the chest. And on our exhale, gently release, letting the feet come to the earth. Keep those knees standing. Let's bring our feet out to the outer edges of the mat so that they're a little bit wider than our hips. And from here, we're going to drop the right knee towards midline, coming onto the big toe edge of the right foot. So as that right knee comes towards midline, we'll feel an opening across the quads, opening in the hip flexors, release in the psoas. And you're welcome to bring this right arm up overhead to continue the stretch all the way through the chest, through that torso, up and out through the fingers. Enjoying this long stretch from the knee to the fingers. And with our exhale, slowly release the right hand back down and we'll stand the right knee. Gently allow the left knee now to drop towards midline. We're coming onto the big toe edge of the left foot. Left arm reaches all the way up towards the sky. So we're reaching through those left fingers, reaching through the left knee. And find our breath here. And with our next inhale, we'll stand the left knee as the left arm comes back down by our side. And then gently walk the feet together so that our heels are nice and close in towards our sits bones and the knees are standing. And we want to imagine that we've got a ball or a block between those knees so that they don't splay out. Keep those knees nice and strong. Hands are by our side. And with our next inhale, gently flatten the low back down into the earth by pointing the tailbone to the space between the knees, just ever so slightly. And from here, we're going to lift the pelvis to the sky, making our way into a bridge. As we reach the hips to the heavens, again, we imagine that there's a ball or block between the knees. Keep those legs strong and then shift the weight into the heels. So we've activated the hamstrings, the glutes, and the quads. Palms are pressing down into the earth. Belly's nice and active. One more breath here. And on our exhale, we're going to lower down just about halfway. And with our inhale, come right back into our bridge. Lifting through the pelvis, pressing the palms into the earth. And on our exhale, go ahead and come all the way down to the mat, one vertebrae at a time. And then the knees come to the chest and we give a gentle rock from side to side. And from here, our feet will come back down to the earth. We're going to cross the left ankle on top of the right knee and flex the left foot. Coming into a one-legged bridge, our hands are down by our side. Point the tailbone to that space between the knees. Actively reach this left knee away from us so that left knee stays nice and active. And with our next inhale, we'll lift the pelvis to the sky. Engage those right glutes. Right heel is making deep contact with the earth. And on our exhale, we're going to lower down one vertebrae at a time. Gently unwind and bring the knees into the chest. And from here, the heels make their way back to the earth. We're going to cross the right ankle over the left and actively reach that right knee away from the body. Right foot stays nice and flexed. Hands are by our side. And with our inhale, we're going to lift the pelvis. Start with that nice flat back into the earth. Lift the hips to the sky. Strong in that left leg. Quads active, hamstrings active. Glutes are nice and strong, and that right knee is reaching away from our body, attempting to keep the hips level. And from here, we'll lower down one vertebrae at a time and slowly unwind. We'll bring the knees into the chest with a gentle hug and a slight rock from side to side. And as we release, our feet will come to the earth. Let our feet come nice and wide. Hands are out to the side. And taking some windshield wipers, just on the exhale, bring the knees to one direction and back to center. Knees in the opposite direction. And back to center. We'll do one more each side. And from here, slowly walk the feet together and then extend the legs all the way down onto the mat. Arms come up overhead. We'll take a full body stretch. Reaching through the fingers, through the toes. Long through the body. On the exhale, gently allow the hands to come down by our sides. We're going to let the palms be open to the space in the room, and the feet will stop open. Letting our body find that place of stillness and let our awareness come into our breath. With our next inhale, just noticing the backs of the hands, backs of the arms, backs of the shoulders resting on the earth. And with the exhale, see if we can soften just a little bit, maybe taking up a little bit more space on our mat. And with our next inhale, noticing the sacrum down the backs of the legs, through the calves, the heels resting on the earth. And with our exhale again, we'll see if we can soften, letting the body become a little bit more heavy, grounding a little bit deeper. And as we notice the body finding its habitual pattern into stillness, see if anything is starting to tense up. Sometimes when we let our body rest, it finds those natural, non-productive behaviors of maybe clenching a jaw or fingertips rolling in towards palms, creating a fist, maybe even a furrow of the brow as your thoughts start to shift out of this present moment. When we notice these habitual patterns starting in the body, it gives us a great opportunity to create change. Letting the shoulders again be heavy, letting the jaw be open and at rest, letting the eyes become heavy in the sockets. And you can slowly place the tongue right behind those front two teeth. Again, just allowing the face to be soft. And just as the body can begin to tense up in times of stillness, the mind can have those same patterns. So now giving ourselves the opportunity to notice if we've gone into habitual thinking, planning, worrying, remembering, whatever it may be that has grabbed our thoughts this morning, and then see if we can make change. Find the breath, find the space, soften the thoughts. And for the next few moments, as we rest in Shavasana, continue the stance, noticing any non-productive patterns, tensions, worries, and then using that as opportunity to create change. And maybe for a brief moment or a sequence of moments, we find that space. We find our deep-seeking ability and love for that space. Quiet and stillness and the breath. And with our next inhale, we'll begin to allow some movement to come into the fingers and the toes, maybe a gentle roll of the ankles or the wrists. And we'll use our breath to slowly begin rolling onto one side. Maybe it feels good to bring knees into chest first, or simply roll over. And taking your time, using your breath, giving yourselves a couple of moments to come up to a comfortable seated position. We can find ourselves either perched again on our cushion or simply cross-legged on our mat. Maybe even in your home space, it feels most right to stay in Shavasana or stay on one side, letting your body have a little bit more time to acclimate to a new position. And wherever we are, we'll take one long deep breath together. And I want to thank you all for coming out for our practice this morning. Have a wonderful day in the conferences. Learn lots, be inspired, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you and be well.